Apparently we're live. Hey everybody, welcome to our first live stream together. Today we are going to be, well, as you can see right now, this is all one big experiment, so we'll see how it goes. But we're also going to be painting, and this will be something of an experiment as well. Today we're going to be using paint stickers or paint peels. They are the leftover acrylic paint from after you're done painting, and I leave them in plastic takeout container lids, and those are my paint palettes. And when they dry, I peel them off, I store them in baking parchment, and then I can use them later. So we'll get into all of that. But right now, I was inspired by two things. One is, and let me get off of the webcam here. I was inspired by two things. One, I was inspired by the song Freedom by John Batiste, and just that look in the whole video of this kind of like lanky character with these angular movements and just a lot of energy and all of that. But also the painting The Sugar Shack by Ernie Barnes, and again, just these lanky kind of stretched characters. You can feel that energy. You know, you have these angular movements and angular characters, and so we're going to put that into our piece today. And I got there by basically taking that reference material and sketching it, really quick study sketch in my sketchbook, simple lines, just to try and get the correct angles and movement and all of that. And then by eye, I just transferred that to some parchment paper, and that's just so that I can put that one-to-one on the canvas, and it's keyed to this top corner here. And then I can figure out where I want all of my pieces to go once, and I'll show you this as well, once we cut them out and get them ready to go. So my method really is that I storyboard a lot of this in my head, and then when I hit a wall or I hit an issue with the painting, I'll just kind of go with it and see where it takes me. So there's really no one way that I work. I also tend to use paint as a material that rather than just using it as an illustration kind of medium. So you'll see a lot of texture and movement and things like that, but also a lot of simplicity in the paint because I want to add to the paint. Let's start with the background, and I'm going to paint kind of a blue blend of blue up here. So it's going to be deep turquoise and powder blue up here, and then we'll just do like a light gray, kind of something like a sidewalk or a cement kind of path to anchor the character on the canvas. And then I'm just using the paper that came with the canvases. So I have a stack of these just laying around. I also don't know what I'm going to say, so I'm just kind of making this up as I go. And for the most part, I'll explain what I'm doing, but I might get into a state of flow and you might not hear from me for a while. So, you know, I have some music playing in the background. If you can hear that, that will entertain you while I'm off in space. But for now, we're going to use a blending brush this is actually one of my wife's old makeup brushes. So we're going to blend this with the blending brush and just kind of high energy, just kind of get this on the canvas with a lot of texture. Yeah, I also don't multitask, so while I'm doing something, I might stop talking as well. So, you know, like I said, an adventure for everybody. And again, just really quick movements, just get this on the canvas. It is just the background. And I'm leaving the texture, as you can see in here. And I'm leaving it nice and thick. This is probably, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch thick. So it's nice and thick. And when it does dry, you'll still see this texture in there, but it will be much flatter. All right. And then this is just going to be lamp black with a pile of white. Again, a lot of texture. That's probably way too much white, but that's okay. We'll find out in a minute. All right, and I'm using yet another smaller blending brush. Again, one of my wife's old makeup brushes. So if they're a quality enough brush that the bristles don't fall out, you know, there's no reason to throw them out. And because this is not, you know, fine detail and all of that, you don't need, you know, a super nice brush for it. So all right, again, a nice thick layer, probably 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. All right. And yeah, way too much paint, but what will happen is this will dry and then I can use it as a paint peel later. All right, so put these aside. One of the things though that I like this now the way it is, it doesn't really suggest a direction that you're looking at, which is fine. I think we're just gonna go with it the way it is. And a lot of times you want to live with your art, see what you think. So this is one of those times for me. I'm just going to live with this, see what I think. And I might come back later and do something to it later. I do notice that I accidentally hit this. So we're going to kind of blend this back in, get rid of that big line. All right. So now we're going to move on to the paint peels. It's kind of the star of the show, really. And I've collected them up over time, so let me switch so you can actually see what I'm talking about. All right, so I've collected these up over time, and they really are just these kind of paint peels. And you have a choice. You have, you know, the rough matte side and then the plasticky side. Oftentimes, though, you'll have this mold mark that gets embedded in there. So it's up to you. I'm probably going to cut around that stuff, but I also like this matte look anyway, so let's see what happens. The first thing you want to do though is we're going to take this and we're going to find where the head is and the bottom foot and then this hand, and kind of get that set up on the canvas. And to do that, switch you back. To do that, you're going to key it up where where we had it before, and just kind of eyeball where it was without trying to stick it to the canvas. So the head is going to probably be right around here. And yeah, it's nice and cold in here, so the paint really just wants to dry really fast. So first things first, we're going to figure out what color we want for this guy's head and his hair. And let me get you back down here. I don't know if I want orange for his head. I might actually, let's say we can go with blue. This kind of dark blue. And then maybe that's kind of hair, right? So we'll go with that. And let's start with the general basic shape of his head. And it really is just kind of eyeballing this, and because this itself is just a sketch, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not going for a specific person. This is not John Batiste. This is not one of the characters in the Sugar Shack. This is his own, he's his own person. So so we'll go with his own head shape. I guess in a lot of ways though, he kind of is me, kind of a self-portrait. I've always had this kind of fascination with that kind of 40s, 50s, whatever kind of jazz kind of musician thing that, you know, I always thought they were super cool. As an adult, I get that they're just people. Before they were, you know, and when I was younger, they were kind of a character, like a cartoon character for me. So I don't know. But anyway, I thought they were always cool. All right, so we got his head kind of cut out. Let's get his hair cut out. And I'm not going to do a face. Originally, I was going to try and kind of cut in the suggestion of a face, but I think I want to just avoid that today. So we're going to... Yeah, so we'll just avoid that today. I don't really do portraits. I don't do people. Lately, I've had this kind of weird fascination with people. And I started with my kids because I know them enough and I have plenty of reference material. But even then, I really carved their faces. I didn't paint their faces. So that was, I don't really paint people. And I think the issue that I'm having here is that it's so cold in here, the paint is starting to actually freeze or stiffen and get brittle. This is much easier to do if you're in a nice warm environment. Oh, thanks. I see a few people have joined. But thanks for joining, and yeah, I think the background's going to look nice. Thank you. And I'm glad it makes you happy. Fallout Blue. I'm not really a gamer, so I don't know. But yeah, I see the Fallout Blue. I do, yeah. Oh, I have a heater, thanks. I have a heater. It's just like 11 out here, so. All right, so here's the deal. I actually made the face too small. And so let's see if we can get this to work. Otherwise I have to just kind of recut one. Or I can cut the hair smaller. I think I still need to trim the hair up. So, yeah, it took a little while to... Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for coming along on the creative journey. Yeah, it took a while because I actually unfortunately ended the original stream. I had to restart this one. So, yeah. Like I said, an experiment, but, you know, such is life. Yeah, so Sugar Shack was from 1976, Caspian's Friend. And it is... Yes, and very angular. All that movement comes from seeing those angles and all right. Yeah, all that movement comes from all those angles and the parallel angles and just kind of the repetition, but it's just a lot of it, and that's draws your eye all around the canvas. All right. Let's put the head onto the canvas here. I think it goes at this angle here. Yeah. All right. And then the hair goes on. Go. These are all issues that I would not have if I had pre-recorded this, and you would never know that I screwed up some of these things. If the paint is not sticking, you can always come back in with a little more paint and just kind of glue it on, because acrylic paint makes a great glue for paper and other paint as well. So we'll go with that. All right. Let's get back to our character. All right, so I like his suit, and I'm not sure if I want to go like orange or something else with for his suit. I have all these different colors. I could go with orange. Kind of, I don't know if there's enough paint here for that, but we can always supplement with other paint. Because I didn't want my other paint to freeze, I left it in the house, so I can go and get that. I do actually have this that I've been kind of itching to use, which is just a lot of different colors here. And I can combine it with something else as well. Actually, like this one too. So I think what we're going to do is go with this for his suit. Very dusty, but that's okay. You know, I like it. And then what we're going to have to do later is come back and clean up the painting itself. And I may or may not get to that today, but we'll see what happens. All right. New cameras won't help. Pre-recording is no fun. Yeah, I really want to be able to kind of hang out with everybody and enjoy the conversation in real time, but these cameras have built-in timeouts. They're not really meant for streaming, so we'll figure that out. Maybe a phone. I guess I can go to a phone. All right, so this is one of those things where I actually have no idea how to what I'm doing here, because I want to I don't want to cut out these and use them as templates because then I can't get other details later. Same time, I am having a hard time seeing what I'm trying to cut out. So this is just one of those, I guess this is just, you know, this is art. This is problem solving. All right. Oh, I guess I should be talking and oh, and if there's a simple solution, yeah, I'm all ears. Love to know what that simple solution is. Because if I don't have to buy new cameras or something or use my phone, that would be great. All right, so I have the jacket part of the suit. One of the things that I forgot is the actual shirt. So I think we can go with purple under that. Because, you know, purple's cool. And you're not going to see all of this shirt under here. All right. All right. Okay, I did forget his tie, but we have a tie-shaped piece right here. I don't know, we'll come back to the tie because I want to do something, you know, that I like. And then we also need the sleeves for his jacket, which I don't have enough in that color. So we're gonna have to figure something out, something that matches. That doesn't match. Might actually have to paint the sleeves in later, which is fine. It's all part of the process. Sometimes you just have to trust the process. Actually, I do like this. It's extremely thin, but I think it'll work. And we have plenty for both arms. Show you what I'm doing up here. So a lot of this is just kind of using the reference and just kind of eyeballing this and figuring out where the cuts should go. And then just trimming up. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think it is a nice combo. All right. And then I got way too much. I kind of flooded this area here, so we'll just cut a little scrap here and piece that over. All right. And then we'll go with the other arm. And again, just kind of eyeballing this. One of the things I like about this process is that it's not about perfection. All right. And you can always come back and paint over this later. Okay, I think that's working so far. It really does not look anything like I had in my head, which is fine because you know, it's never going to look like it is in my head. I finally come to terms with that over the years. In the pants, I need something that's nice and where there's plenty of stuff to work with. And I may or may not have something like that. That's a lot going on there. I want something kind of that matches and complements that, but and this might be one of those things where you come back later and paint on the rest of it. So there's no shame in that. You don't have to stick with paint peels. So maybe something like that. And the great thing about the paint peels is if you don't like the colors later, you can come back and paint over them, and at least you have the texture of the paint underneath. And you know, that's always a nice touch in my book because I love the texture. What do y'all think of that? No. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go with these, and we'll see if we want to paint later. So let me show you what I'm doing here. This is going to be so I'm going to kind of mark out where I want just with the tip of the scissors. So here and here, and then I'll just cut to make those lines meet. And again, I want to cut from here to here. So here to here. And then we'll just cut to make those lines meet. And then you can leave this kind of wonky because that gets tucked under. So we'll do the second leg first, and since I have a straight line already, I can plot this out. And then realized that I should have put this leg on second because this one goes under. So we're going to just kind of peel this up. And gingerly stick this under there. Right, and then the rest of the leg, we're going to figure that one out. Just kind of by eye a little bit. There. All right. And then the last thing we're going to do today is the saxophone. And I think a nice bright orange saxophone. That'll work. I do have this yellow. I don't know. Maybe I really want the orange to stick out. And then we're going to paint his hands on and his feet on next. So we're going to just paint those on later, but I have to wait for all of this to dry. So I think what I'm going to do is share the final piece with you in another video, probably in a short. Then that will come out in a few days. So stay tuned for that. You know, for this though, we are going to cut out the saxophone and use that as a template. All right. Oh, cool. Thanks. I'm glad the pants are supposed to brighten the whole painting. And I think once we get this orange saxophone on there, it will be even brighter. I really don't like going with a lot of dark, kind of moody look. So this, so we're trying to brighten this back up with the orange. Probably should have mentioned that as well. Well, I was going to try and freehand that last little bit of the saxophone, but I forgot what it looked like, so we're just going to go with a template. That's the thing, is, you know, sometimes I'll have a picture in my head of what something looks like and I can just freehand it. And sometimes you just need a guide, so don't feel like you need to have everything all in your head and be able to kind of come up with these things out of the blue. Reference material is always a good friend to have around. Our guy's hand was not glued on correctly, so he was not sticking. Again, if it's If it's warmer, these paint peels like to stick much better. So I'll bring this in later and let it warm up, and everything should start sticking to each other. All right. I don't know if anybody remembers color forms when you were little. If you're old enough to remember color forms, but that's kind of what these are. Just they stick forever instead of being able to reposition them, of course. But that's what this is all about. See if we can get this. Oh, you had Holly Hobby color forms? That's awesome. All right. We're going to fix my little mess up here. There. All right, like I said, we're gonna have to come back and put his hands in and his feet and put a tie on once I figure that one out. But in the meantime, I want to really thank everybody who joined today, because this was a big experiment for me, and you made it much easier to go through. So thank you all. All right, hey, welcome back, everybody. This is the next day. This is an after behind the scenes kind of finishing the piece after the live stream. And we're going to put the hands in, the feet. We're going to touch up all of the kind of splotches and things, smudges that inevitably come along with sticking paint peels down onto wet canvas. Let's start with getting the sidewalk touched up down here. And yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's going on lighter, and I'm hoping that it dries darker. But if it doesn't, what I like to do is blend in just in case and make it look relatively purposeful. I have a little bit of this blue left. Grab another brush. This is pretty tacky, but it's okay. It's going on. And again, we'll blend in. Just make sure that it looks like it's purposefully done here. And I'm going to blend over this gray here. And I'm going to get rid of this purple thing. It just looks too out of place. It looks too accidental. And I think that's going to do it for my leftover blue. So I'm going to blend this in and make sure that, again, it looks purposeful. There we go. All right. I lost my little chip of red. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. All right. So the other thing too about these is that you don't necessarily have to cut them. You can just fold them. And since I left my scissors inside, that's what we're gonna do. And I'm going to put this on with some gray paint just to kind of paste it in place. And then we'll mix in some red. Because apparently I can't touch anything without getting a bunch more paint from my sticky fingers. But the deal is it's all about blending in, so just make it look purposeful and you're good to go. All right, now up here, I'm going to try and get this color back in here. First, it's just kind of peeled, like folded over. So I'm just going to try and, yeah, there we go. Press that in place. And then the rest of the sleeve, I guess what we'll do is try a bit of black just to even out this edge here. So a little black and red. Because I can blend that in. I don't have the most steady hands in the world. Especially, I am still in my studio and it is still cold, so it's making it even worse. But we're good to go. And then the deal with the blue here, we'll try and get some last little bit of this blue and blend that in because it's really bothering me a lot. All right, and now we're gonna fix the guy's face here, and that's kind of this purple blue color. It's not really blue, it is really more purple. And in his jacket, this is the same purple blue. I think I did this in the same painting actually, but then also this kind of green is it's like this yellow but also sap green color. So I'm gonna just go with the sap green in this case and blend it in. And then the purple is gonna be purple. It's gonna be Windsor Violet and Cobalt Blue, and I'm pretty sure that's what I had before when I did this originally. So fingers crossed, everybody. As far as the hair, that's burnt umber and burnt sienna. It's a mostly a blend. It's kind of, again, it's the leftovers, so it's whatever on my palette, and so you're getting kind of half and half blend here. But let's start with the blue purple mix. And then we'll go down here and kind of get that a little thinned out. So we'll get a little bit more here. There. All right, as far as the hair, I'm just gonna mix up some of the burnt umber and raw sienna a little bit. We'll go from there. And because I have a lighter brown and way too much blue, I'm just going to paint right over everything and just kind of repaint it. We'll see how that turns out. Same brush, and I'm just going to do the sap green. Blend that in with my finger. And I think what I would like to do is mix a little bit of the sap green in with this burnt umber and touch up some of these other areas of the jacket. And there's something about the splotches that I left on the saxophone that I kind of like. So I'm going to live with those for a while and figure out what that is exactly. They might stay, actually. I don't know if it's reminding me of notes or what, but I really like it. So that's where we're going to go with that. I did forget to get this upper area of his arm. So we're going to blend that in as well. And then go back and get the upper area of his coat. All right, now it's down here to get the pants, and not sure what I did to get that color. I think those were, that's like blue and yellow. So let's try that, see what happens on the palette. Actually, you know what? Let's just go for it. Why not? Actually, I think it's a sky blue. So we'll go with deep turquoise and yellow. It actually might be layered on there. It might not actually be a blend, it might be layered. So let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a couple of layers. And it might actually be wet paint on wet paint, so wet on wet. That's what that means, by the way. Wet on wet, if you happen to not know, it means wet paint on wet paint. You're painting right over the wet paint while it's, you know, on the canvas. And that's how you're blending. That's how you're getting all the kind of funky colors and things. So I think what I'm going to have to do is actually let this dry a little bit and come back with some yellow later. You can kind of see that that happened in other areas as well. We'll see what I think later. All right. Okay, so now we have this. I'm gonna go with the hands. I want the hands the same color as the face, so kind of a purpley blue. And I'm going from memory because my template is destroyed and I don't have my sketchbook with me. It was enough just to get me back out in the garage, I admit it. All right, and then we're gonna go with one hand around the saxophone. And for this hand, I'm gonna layer this on nice and thick. And then the shoes, I wasn't sure about the shoes. I might go with red. No, maybe not. I think what we'll do for now is I'm just going to go with this blue again for the shoes. Maybe what I'll do is darken this up with some black and just kind of go in a basic, actually with some brown. And I have brown here on my palette, so we'll just go with that. There we go. And the reason I'm not going with black and I want to go with brown is because brown is going to give this more, it's going to keep it more of a purple. It kind of muddies it, but at the same time it keeps it kind of that purple color. There's a little bit of that still left in it. So if I went with black, it would darken it, but it would also potentially turn it black. You wouldn't really get the impression of purple in there. All right. I think that's working. All right. He still needs a tie and his shirt needs a collar. So we'll go with, I'm just going to paint the tie on here. All right, you let me know. Does he want a yellow tie or does he want a blue tie? I'm thinking a yellow tie. Although, now that I painted this on here, it might turn green. Let's find out. All right. Again, I'm going nice and thick with this paint. Wow, I really messed it up. That's less than a happy accident. Well, what we can do is take our tiny little brush and push this off. It both blends it, but it also pushes the paint off. And yellow is just hard to get to stick to things. It's always so translucent. So it kind of saves me a little bit there. And I'm going to keep the same little brush here and go in and fix this a little bit. I might need to wait for this first layer of yellow to dry. Well, there we go. This is it. Thanks for joining me for this behind the scenes. Thanks to everybody who had joined me for the original live stream. And let's see if... and I do actually have a few notes for ways to improve these live streams in the future. But if there is something that you would like me to do in another live stream, let me know. I might do these in the future. I'm still trying to decide. Again, this was all one big experiment, so let's see how it goes. But thanks for joining me. All right, bye.